Yeah. No, we are English, yeah.
We are English. It's super awkward for me too.
It is super awkward. For me, it's totally natural.
Totally natural. You speak like this
Hello,
every day.
I pretend that you are from England.
Yes, I am. As long as people understand us, it's okay.
So you have a lot of questions?
I have prepared. So I will first just enter the stage and talk a bit about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Short intro. Also, then we do the questions.
Yeah.
It's all cool, and you can answer how you feel like.
Okay.
I can start.
Yeah.
And then we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totalt.
Welcome to Let's Draw About It, a podcast where we remove the two most important tools of drawing, the eyes and the hands. I'm curious to see how this affects the way we think about drawing by introducing some limitations. In this episode, we have invited my good friend and close colleague Nina Haarsaker to the podcast. Nina has worked as an educator as long as I've known her, and as an architect longer than that. She has a unique and fascinating approach to creative work and lots of experience with drawing as a tool in both teaching and in creative development. Nina is well versed in the concept of synectics, where one can combine seemingly unconnected ideas to uncover new insights about ourselves and our work. And Nina is actually the main reason why I'm working as an educator in the university. So all the credit for that to her. We have had numerous collaboration since back in the early 2000s. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nina,
what a nice introduction.
Of course. Anything for you.
What did you mean about hands?
Hands?
Take away hands. Did you say that?
Because that's what we do. We take about the eyes and the hands.
Yeah. And you know that I've learned that hands, they take 10% of our brain capacity.
Really?
It's quite a lot.
I didn't know that.
Look at this big body and the hands. But maybe it is because it's so much surface, like the fjords, you know?
And they're important.
Yeah, and I can really feel my hands when I touch them.
Thank God.
It's so nice to have hands. But you mean that we will draw without hands today?
We can draw with hands, but since this is a podcast, people will not see. They will only hear us talk about.
Of course. We
use the ears and maybe the brain. That's my idea.
That's wonderful.
Could you tell us how you became an architect and a person that draws, a drawer?
Yeah, I think that I grew up in a family where drawing was... my father had a brother that was drawing a lot, and my mother... She also had a brother that was drawing a lot, and a sister that was weaving a lot, and my mother, she was running. So my parents, they were really interested in bodily pursuits, and I was more drawn to this drawings, and we always got really nice this oil. What do you call it? With the color pigment.
Crayons?
Crayons from my uncle that we could mess around with. And then I also was super lucky in this small outskirts Meråker where they started a totally new kindergarten. And they said to this wonderful woman, you can run this kindergarten, but she was trained as an artist, so she had... all these really nice things that she tested on us. So, like, let's put the crayons on top of paper, on top of the heater, because then maybe it will actually become floating.
Oh, so you melted crayons on the stove?
Yeah, it was wonderful. Wow. And we had to be really careful because the paper could take fire.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sounds
it was super
scary.
Good. But then my parents, which were so strong, they actually started building a lot of houses. So growing up in this, seeing spaces and rooms take form, and we moved into a big building that was the border sale where all the Swedish came to buy in the 60s, probably cheese and sugar and
like a trading
station? Now it is the opposite, that the Norwegians or the Trondheim people go to the Swedish border to buy the cheaper groceries. But then it was the opposite, and now this house was empty in the early 80s, so I grew up in a house where you could really test.
Wow.
Yes.
Sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I had. It was only. It's one. I have had my sleeping room all over, and even in the bathroom because you often fall asleep on the warm floor.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
imagine the life there. And I maybe this also answers part of my next question, because I'm curious how you shifted from being an architect practicing architecture towards teaching as an architect and teaching architecture.
Yeah, but I remember because when I went to this high school, I didn't take natural sciences like you to get into university here in Trondheim. You need to have physics and mathematics and
Yeah.
or similar chemistry maybe. And then I took only mathematics because that was my brain was thinking that was okay. Then I started after high school on with philosophy, which I loved. But always when we went with bus passing by this really nice building from the 20s, this it's called Lucas and it's not a workshop anymore, but at that time.
Oh, the building that used to be the workshop for the architect
Yeah.
students.
And you could see through the windows that the people working inside there, they had some curious things going on. It was like
Yeah.
some detectives, but what were they detecting? I mean, it was like paintings and maps and everything. And I was really, this looks like something really cool and interesting.
So you didn't plan on being an architect. You planned. Well, you are quite interested in philosophy now, so I guess that was the first interest,
Yeah.
and then architecture was a
Yeah,
detour,
but,
extra tour.
Yeah, and also I grew up with this huge family, and one of my mother's aunts visited us, and I was then thinking maybe I should start with politics, this politics study. When I was 19, you don't know really what you want to become if you don't want to be the same as
I
your
had no idea
parents.
at
Yeah.
19.
So then, which direction? And then she said, "No, that's so boring, politics. I mean, this is not for you." Because Nina, I started actually at architect. But she didn't become an architect, but she went to this school and maybe this is something for you. And so she put something in the back of my head that came back later
Yeah.
when I realized what these people in this workshop were doing.
Wow. So it seems like family has had a big input on why you are
Yeah,
an architect and an artist, a drawing person.
Yeah, but you know that I met your cousin at the Studentersamfunnet, which is the student organization, and we were making this scenery stage. What do you call it? Kulisse,
Yeah. Scenography.
scenography. And I moved to this student city housing where I lived together with, by accident, really nice architect. So in a way, I got, or I was introduced to this way of working in a nice way.
So many different paths led to the same kind of conclusion.
But I think also growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, it was not that much television, and you had to find your own way. We had a lot of boredom because my mother had this philosophy and my father that it's really healthy for children to be bored. So we really came up with really nice things to do all the time. Probably you have experienced the same.
Do you think, because as I know you, you have a quite unorthodox approach to teaching and to meeting new people? Everything in my eyes, it's unconventional, one could say. Do you think that the learning how to deal with boredom also triggers your brain into going different paths than most people would do?
No, but I realize that I'm really seldom bored. But I can feel if I'm too much with people, I need to rest. But if I'm not meeting people for 3 days, then I feel restless in a way. So it's like this always shifting is nice, but it's really hard to do nothing or to be bored.
Well, it's
I
easy.
even love dreaming and sleeping.
I think a lot of people feel it's easy to get bored but hard to do anything about it. But that doesn't seem to affect you in the same way. It's easy for you to get triggered by inspirations and
Yeah.
start
But
doing
but
things?
I was also thinking before I had this lecture this morning. I was when I was planning 2 weeks ago and looking what would I like to talk about and what have I been influenced by. I was thinking that also in the 60s, 70s. I'm born in the middle of the 70s. We got all these books. We got the books sent to us every month from this book club. And they had children books where they were illustrated by different artists, and each book had quite a different kind of atmosphere and line, or what do you call it, strek, like uttrykk, expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking that I, in a way, had a quite wide variety of possible ways to express. And then we had nice opportunities in this outskirt school with teachers that were interested, and we have had.
But still, I'm fascinated because I think a lot of people would have had those books and have had those influences and not become creative and unorthodox in their brain waves.
Yeah, I was.
Do you think it's are you born with this ability to think differently and
But
use
I
tools in a
thought that
different
it was
way?
some kind of cultural thing, because I think that if you are situated in the world, like on the coast of Norway, and you have to think quick sometimes to survive, and you have to use what you have at hand, and this is an ability that most people can train, or that they are born with, but not all, of course. I mean, we are luckily really different. But I think that I inherited some quick movements. I can do things really quick with my hands, and I can have a lot of hastigheter. What is that in English? Speeds
speed.
or a different kind of. Some people are really slow in their muscles or musculature, and they can really go on, and but they can never win in this.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. Or you have this super explosive.
You're explosive.
No, I'm really in the middle of. I can be quite slow and I can be explosive, and I think that I'm this generalist in a way that I think that the most fun thing for me is to learn new things, and I'm not that interested in becoming a specialist. But since drawing was one of the things that I were exploring a lot, and I brought the scissor, really loved to cut from these magazines. And my parents, they lived abroad for 3 years.
Nina brought a pair of scissors. Is it a pair of scissors or just scissors? Well, you brought scissors.
Yeah.
So the scissors, you brought them from, it's part of your toolbox. It's part of your idea about tools for drawing.
Yeah, I was thinking that I love to draw, but we also loved to take photos, like make magazines, cut out from the old magazines. It was like a very physical world compared to with today, where the children often are into this computer or gymnastic world.
And the physical world and the digital world is very separated, or the hobby worlds are separated into departments.
Yeah.
Sport is sport, drawing is drawing. There's no correlation.
Yeah, and maybe the lucky children are those that grew, or the people growing up quite close to a forest or a small stream or a waterfall or something, close to nature in a way, or neighbors that have their garage open and something is happening there, or you have an artist uncle or aunt that you have access to see different tools in a way. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So and also nowadays you have a family, you have a husband, a very wonderful guy. You have 2 sons, and you have a big family.
Yeah.
With lots of people. What's going on in your everyday drawing life? Do you use drawing as part of your everyday?
Yeah, one of my brothers wanted to. Can you make some drawings for? I will make a cottage. Yes, and then this really. I really love to make architectural drawings in plan and section and with models, and it's super fun. I think that is like a safe space and cool place to be. But if my sister says, "Oh, please make a new cupboard for the clothes we are selling," that's not my favorite part of.
So do you want it to be part of some kind of life, everyday life or activity? Is that
No,
more
I think
interesting?
it's just that I really enjoy thinking, oh, that would be such a nice room to be 5 persons or 10 persons, or to sit in front of this fire in this super perfect sized living room.
But creating a space for jackets and socks is not the same kind of.
Yes,
Doesn't trigger you the same
yeah,
way?
but maybe if it was part of a wall and you can see it from outside, or yeah, I think that it is.
Relations in some way.
Yeah, maybe it is that I enjoy. It's more fun, I think, to find a cupboard already existing and try to transform it into something that they can use, and not to make this thing from scratch. But when you are drawing a house, you have to be in contact with the ground or the site, and this gives so many obstacles and resistance. So, where is the sun, and what about that tree, and the ugly house of the neighbor, and the car over there? So it's a nice way. It has this complexity that I like. But if you are to make a furniture, it's a lot of work.
Because building houses, that's easy.
It's too easy to do make a furniture. No, but it's I know that it's a lot of complexity in a furniture, and it can look so many ways, and how can it actually fit in the space, and I mean, you can really have a nice. If my sister said, "This is the plywood you have accessible, cut it in the way you want to, and make a nice," then it would be easier for me than if it's like.
So limitless tasks is not.
Yeah,
the
but
best.
because I mean, I feel that I often, when you start this first year as a first year architect student, I feel that they are into this same. They have the same feeling as I have with cupboards, that no limits. I don't know what to do. But I think it's the opposite. You already have a site, or it's so much to react on already. That is exciting, like this very beautiful stone, or the snow falling, or yeah.
But maybe these connections between you have experience from using your body to do practical work. You have the creative background. You have you worked with scenography. You have a very broad entrance to the idea of drawing. Do you see any interesting connections between these different things, or do you feel they're separate? All these different avenues of drawing, or do you use ideas and tools and concepts from architecture into other kinds of drawings?
Yeah, give me an example.
Let's say you have you're drawing the cabin for your family. It was an aunt, sister.
I or my brother. Yeah.
Do you pull from your pool of resources and experiences also as a scenographer and a person that sings, and you have you weave? Do you pull from those kinds of creative things when you draw and design houses, or do you think
Yeah.
they're separate?
No, I think they are the same, but in a way, it's. I often, if you find a book, or with drawings, or papers, or pictures of things that you like to do in this house, for example, and let's say that you have a copy machine, and you can make a lot of papers with these nice different atmospheres that you maybe would like to have in this house, and then you can cut them and like make some kind of collage that has nothing to do with the house in one sense, but is the essence of the house in another sense. So I think this mixing is always there. And I was quite small when my parents were working a lot, so my grandparents were often there, and they came with needle and thread, and
People were always doing something.
mending something, or
Yeah.
helping, or making. My grandfather was really good with these super cool toys that he made in his wood workshop. So with wheels that were actually rolling in a nice way, or this farmhouse for animals that we could play with, or So, but I think for me, architecture is about it's a shelter, and it's of course something you would like to look at, but drawing it, I mean, the life is changing, and your economy is changing, and the choice of or your interest in materials. So, in a way, those kind of drawings, it's more spatial oriented, and in a way, I think that it also is about getting inspired. So, going to an exhibition, or reading a book, or finding a word that gives meaning, or listening to music that you enjoy. I think it's like, it was a short time working on a big architect office that I thought, I really hate this job. I mean it's so boring to sit with these lists and, details that are supposed to be finished 2 hours ago, and you need one more day. Yes, so it's like this stressful, can be, situation. I found myself looking forward to meeting people and discuss and see potentials instead of doing this kind of work. So,
would you say that drawing and designing processes with drawing is just a tool to connect people, and is that how you approach design, so to speak? The social aspect seems to be more important than the drawing itself, or
no, I don't think that is true about me, but I think it's intriguing to hear it.
Nice.
No, but I realized when I put down these tools that I brought with me here, that I'm wondering what are they capable of doing in a way? What are their potentials?
And
As
now you have a piece of paper, some paper in front of you. You have lots of drawing utensils, some leads and some charcoal and a pen and a scissor, and you're basically picking up a tool, and then the intuitive connection between the hand and the paper and you is what drives the drawing, how I see it.
Yeah, and how thin and how extremely wide the same piece of charcoal can become, and how different it is if you test it with the other hand, the one that you don't usually draw with.
It's fun that you mentioned that. Örjan Yehem, that was a guest at the first episode, he said that was a thing he sometimes did to trigger a different
and
reply.
so I realized when I started drawing again, it's really nice to see when you draw the symmetrical, in a way that your brain works with two drawings at the same time, so make the twin drawing. But I think also it's about composition and what is happening here. You remember, did you also see this television series when we were smaller that was called Streken?
Yeah.
And also it was this
little angry, just a chalk line that was moving
around,
in and out of the line.
And also it at the same time they had this origami with this quack 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 quack.
Quacky,
that's always becoming something else all the time, and I thought that was the super best.
It's fascinating to me because you've been drawing now for 50 years, maybe at least 45.
Yeah. Talking for 50 years, drawing for 49.
But you can still pick up a single piece of paper and a single piece of a pencil and be fascinated. Why do you think you still keep getting fascinated by this?
Why I'm not finished with it?
Yeah, why don't you get finished with it?
Because I really enjoy testing new things.
But one could argue that there's nothing new.
I'm not only doing this. You said bring your favorite, and I was thinking, this was my favorite 2 years ago. Right now, I've been cutting branches and trying to weave them together, and then I've been testing with threads to make clothes, and so I really enjoy testing different tools.
Yeah,
using my hands in different ways. And we have this painting session with color. You think in a totally different way then. So it's super fascinating how this only gray and white, black world really can give some meaning.
Yeah. Because I challenged all the guests here to bring their favorite drawing tool and their favorite drawing medium or surface to draw on.
Yeah.
And do you want to explain what you brought and why?
Yeah, because at the university we had this super slippery paper, and I did not bring that. I brought some paper that has a little bit more resistance in it. What would you call it? It's like
I think it's called tooth. The structure.
Tooth.
Yeah, this the surface.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's called tooth when it's a bit rough. It can have a small fine tooth or a rough coarse tooth.
Yeah.
So this is semi-rough,
Semi-rough.
maybe 140 grams per square meter.
Yeah, and I brought with different, because this is even thinner, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
can, it's transparent. And then I brought this, which someone gave me once, which has the same. It's
Yeah, you
like
brought a gray paper with where you can see the fibers of the cellulose.
yeah, it looks like it has been newspaper once mixed with something cardboard in a way. So it's like reusing paper. I was thinking that if when it's smooth, it's so easy to draw, and I'm I can just draw. It's like when I started at the children's school. By I don't know why, but I was not there on the first day, so I had to go with my parents to the principal, rector, office, and this man, he was asking, yeah, would you like to make a drawing while I talk with your parents, and what would you like to draw? And I started drawing this road because we were moving, and my experience of life was just how nice it was to be into this small space that was moving. And in a way, if you give me a slippery paper and a tool, I can draw like 500 drawings in 1 hour, you know.
Yeah.
It's too little resistance, and this paper, it makes things it has more maybe it also is a little bit about this Jan Groth that it has more surprises in it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The line surprises you even though you've done this for decades.
Yeah,
That's
but in the
amazing.
same way as looking at grass or a flower, I mean, they're so beautiful if you pick them up, and they're so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, of course, you can do this on a slippery paper, but I don't know why I feel they are more boring in yeah, it's more like drawing in a computer in a way to draw on a slippery paper.
Yeah. And you've brought.
Maybe it's too perfect. Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be. And the tools you brought, they are most of them seem to be. How would you describe the drawing tools you brought? Because they're not conventional pencils.
For an architect, it's conventional. It's this thin leads that are 2 millimeter or 1.5.
But you've not put them inside of the holder. You
No.
drove with them raw,
Yeah.
without the wood outside or they're uncovered lead in a way.
If I was to make an architectural drawing with, then I would actually use this holder around and a ruler. But when I'm just playing with the line, it's really nice to shift between the thin line and the really thick potential. It's like
putting the lead on the side and just pulling it over the paper.
Yeah. That's more fun. It's like using your voice, not only the middle. I mean, it's in a way of just testing the potential of this piece of graffiti flower.
Wow, amazing! Really interesting to hear you engage with this the concept of discussing tools. What part of drawing annoys you?
But part of drawing
The
annoys me.
activity of drawing. What part of it annoys you?
Yeah, I realized that for me, it's I really enjoy drawing faces, and if I'm looking too much on like a television series, or I feel that if I'm drawing or do some kind of knitting or whatever, then it's okay to watch or to multitask in a way. But I often feel that they are becoming really stiff or liveless in a way. So I hate that I'm drawing something and it has some potential, but then I'm continuing drawing and then it's lifeless or stiff. Like when I put this eye here now, I hate this drawing at once. I will not take it away.
So when the drawing becomes closed or finished or lifeless?
No, it's only I really enjoy seeing faces coming, or I'm also very critical when I see other paints faces, or and often I think if you do it really abstract and easy in a quick way, it's nicer than if it's overdone. And then if it looks like a picture, I mean, then it's amazing, of course, like a photo, but the technique. but in a way, I think it's nice, like we talked about earlier today, that you are in life. It feels like this second is forever, but it's really a moment that you are in 2 weeks you are looking different already, and in 2 years you are totally different again, and it's so nice to try to grasp some kind of something that is there for a longer time, or something that is a characteristic, or I have not seen what you said, that you have seen this television series about people painting portraits.
Yeah.
And I probably would love to see that series, but I think that for me it would be interesting to see if they could actually grasp some kind of personality.
It's more than just a copy of the
Yeah.
visual. It's not only a visual representation of reality. It's something more.
Yeah, and it also would be nice to see if, when you draw architecture, you always have to think, at least in the Nordic part of the world, or really in the south, that these weather conditions are so changing. So this place is in a way the opposite. The room we are sitting in now, we have it's totally black outside, but in 2 months it's the opposite already.
The need to be able to take these shifts.
Yeah. And I think that, it's something, when I see drawings that I have made, I think those that I am most satisfied with, if they have some kind of expression that surprises me, or if they have some kind of like a memory that I treasure in a way, or if they have you can read it in new ways every time you see it, in a way that it actually is some kind of abstraction, so you don't get bored of it. Yeah. Do you have the same feeling?
I think I see your point, but also what strikes me as interesting is that it seems that your approach to drawing, you're unable to say what annoys you with drawing. You talk about what you don't want to happen with the drawing,
Yeah.
But the drawing itself is just, it seems to be positively charged in everything you describe. You seem like nothing is a problem, which is for me an amazing outlook on life. And I'm sure you're not feeling the same, like nothing is a problem, but it's a very optimistic and constructive approach to drawing you have.
Ja, ja. But aldri så gærent at det ikke er bra for noe.
That's a hard one to translate. Never so bad it's not good for something.
And opposite, of course.
Yeah. And the opposite. Okay, the sound just cut out, so hopefully I will be able to keep the thread. Now for a bit of a different segment. This is what I call the shotgun round. And I give you 2 different words that are somewhat opposites, and you will choose quickly which one you prefer or feel is closer to you. Sketch or masterpiece?
Sketch.
And why? Why sketch?
But it's really funny because you always go to the museum and look at the masterpiece, but I think that the masterpiece would never be there without the sketch. So sketching is a way of thinking. So this is my everyday. When I'm discussing with students, how should this be? It's such an effective tool to start just making even abstract drawings. How narrow is narrow, and
Yeah. It's like
So
talking.
I think it's like talking, yeah. And I'm talking in the same way. I'm not thinking a lot and then saying the perfect sentence.
So even words that sketching is a language.
Yeah.
Masterpiece is a book.
Yeah. Bra, very good. Oh,
thank you.
Hello, applause.
I will write it up.
Yeah.
Analog or digital?
Yeah, I think actually I really love both ways of drawing and working with visual expressions. But the digital has this. I can even find drawings that are 10 years old there, of course, and you can mix photos and drawings and films. I was thinking about that we had some really nice ways of doing these analog posters and playing with transparency and playing with size, and in a way that was much more. I felt that we in a way stretch the possibilities more than now. They look more the same every maybe someone would say it all looked all the same in the 90s as well, but I felt that we had a wider repertoire of showing what we were imagining for
2D or 3D.
In drawing. Yeah, and then you think of models like doing 3D
or 2-dimensional drawings and 3-dimensional perspectives and axonometrics.
Oh yeah, I really enjoy 3D.
Yeah.
But we are both is fantastic.
I love that you can't choose.
But I think that is why I'm never bored, because I can jump between.
Absolutely. And you refuse to be limited by these fake ideas. And this one will also probably make you not being able to choose grayscale or color in drawing.
Oh, hello. No, but I think if I was to go on a holiday, I would travel lightly, and I would choose grayscale because you can do so much with only this pencil. And I think drawing when traveling, like we went with the small boys to Morocco, and I only made one big drawing with smaller drawings around. And it was even more fantastic than looking at the pictures, or maybe together with the pictures from that journey, it becomes a more nice story to look back on than if we were only having the photos. So I think grayscale.
Wet or dry?
It's impossible. I was thinking, what is my favorite tool? I will. It's this that can be really, this pencil with water into. This.
You want both?
Yes, I want both. This is why I do this.
Well, we have a painting group. We meet once a week and we paint for some hours and we discuss what we do and then we paint some more. And when we paint, you use a lot of liquid and a lot of water and things are quite messy. But whenever I see you draw, it's all scratching and all of this quite a dry technique. So I would claim that for drawing, you are mostly connected with the dry mediums, not the wet ones.
Yeah, so painting is not drawing.
It could be, of course.
Yeah.
But just as I know you, I would imagine that dry would be the drawing technique you would gravitate towards.
Yeah.
But you could say I'm wrong if you want to.
No.
You don't want to.
But when I was quite young, it was super important for me that the bird or the reindeer or whatever I was drawing after a picture or from outside the window, it should look like nature. I had more control with a dry one, probably. Yeah. But now it's not that important for me anymore. Yeah, that's funny.
What is the first drawing you remember making in your life? Or the activity of when you remembered making the drawing? What is the first time you have a aware moment where I am drawing now, this is enjoyable or frustrating or whatever?
No, but a thing that I was experiencing was that I was drawing something. I was quite satisfied. My grandmother was visiting and I showed it to her. Look what I have been drawing, and she is very nice, very nice. And we showed it to my father and he said, but isn't the reindeer more like, or whatever I have been drawing, moose, more like this? And then he started fixing on top of my drawing.
Oh no.
And I was probably doing a big face because my grandmother was, she was on my side and, do not destroy Nina's drawing. And hello, what are you thinking? You're a grown-up human being. Are you not aware of the consequences? Or
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it was like...
What age was this?
And I think I was around 6. And I also thought that my father had quite edgy way of drawing. So I didn't really enjoy his... I really enjoy his line, but I didn't want that line on my drawing.
Yeah.
If you get my point.
Wonderful. Yeah, I see your point. Absolutely. Amazing. And if we look, not thinking about the drawings you've made here today, because you've been drawing ever since we started talking.
Okay.
What was the last drawing you made? The most recent drawing you made?
The most recent drawing? What do you mean?
Did you draw this morning or?
Yeah, and also,
yesterday?
I think that making this lecture to remember what we have this. This is maybe the stupid things with the computers, because we have such an easy access to images. So I was thinking it would be nice to have this image, and then I draw a quick stamp sized
Thumbnails.
thumbnail of the image. So it's a way of thinking, what would I like to talk about, or
I
so
do the same.
Yeah.
I draw what I want to have a lecture about, or talk about, or think about. I'm thinking while drawing, basically.
Yeah. And then it's easier also to remember things. And I mean, a drawing has a lot of sentences or meanings into it. Yeah.
What would be your number one advice for someone that's studying drawing?
Yeah, I think that someone I've heard, they are afraid of the white paper, maybe because it's so expensive.
And it's open. It has no resistance.
And it's open. Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's also interesting that, like we talked about, the white paper is coming from somewhere, and you are for sure coming from somewhere. You have a lot of, and you have picked a tool, and what you are doing there. I could, maybe is it scary, or maybe you don't know what kind of direction, or you have ruined it, or I remember for me a white piece of paper is a treasure. And once we were visiting with a lot of students in Italy, and we had a lot of 5 super big A0 papers that we didn't use. And I was thinking, this is the greatest gift ever, so I will give this to the person working and helping us every day, the sweet woman in the reception. And she was so disappointed when she opened it, and it was nothing on it. And I was thinking, what? Yeah, in a way, it's like this is a precious thing, but I think if you want to develop as a drawer, you have to just produce and not be afraid of this whiteness. So you have to, in a way, think that this is something I invest in. Yeah.
I had the same discussion with one of the students I was tutoring earlier today, and we were looking into their sketchbook.
Yeah.
And we talked about the fact that when you buy a sketchbook, sometimes you think it's precious.
Yeah.
You have to keep it, and it's so nice and tidy and
Yeah.
new. And drawing in it will somehow break it.
Yeah.
But then when they start putting sketches into this book, that's when the book starts getting precious.
Yeah.
That's when it gets value.
Yeah.
The first part is just wood pulp and some glue and a binder and some stitches without any more value than a random piece of wood. But when we start putting drawings in, that's when it becomes precious. And the more sketches you make, the more precious it becomes. Even though the sketches themselves aren't valuable, but they're more valuable than not having sketches.
Yeah, and I was also thinking that it's easier if you are actually giving yourself a task. So an advice would be to buy 3 sketchbooks instead of 1, and then give yourself several tasks, or at least give yourself 1 task. And this morning we were discussing is how can I draw the past and the present and the future, and that could be a nice way of just giving yourself a direction, maybe.
So the idea is buy 3 sketchbooks, 1 for the past, 1 for the present, and 1 for the future.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's been really interesting to have this talk. I really hope that the recording not too much was lost from the recording when my equipment failed. The most fascinating for me is your inability to see any negative or negative sides of drawing, or being limited by the tools and the world around you, which is very empowering in my eyes. So I want to say a big thanks to Nina for sharing her perspective. I really appreciate this talk. Amazing. And I think the only thing we have to do now is go out into the world and talk about it. Thank you.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Draw. It's that draw and talk?
Draw.
Nice.
It's part of my sense of humor. It's not very good, but
it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Cannot be better.
Perfect, not flawless.
Look how extremely ugly that part became. But if I work more on it, maybe it becomes so ugly that it becomes nice again.
It's precious.